Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Jaya Kaurani Dharma, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Reading from the next of the books, Qualities of Krishna. See about it, exactly according to the tenets of Scripture is called Shastra Chakshus. Shastra Chakshus means one who sees through the eyes of authorized Scriptures. Actually, any man of knowledge and experience should see everything through these books. For example, with our naked eye, we perceive the sun globe simply as some glaring substance. But when we see through the authorized books of science and other literature, we can understand how much greater the sun globe is than this earth and how powerful it is. So seeing things through the naked eye is not actually seeing things through the authorized books of authorized teachers is the correct way to see. So although Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and can see all that is past, present, and future, to teach the people in general, he used to always refer to the scriptures. For example, in the Bhagavad Gita, although Krishna was speaking as the supreme authority, he still mentioned and quoted Vedanta Sutra as authority. There is a statement in Srimad Bhagavatam wherein a person jokingly says that Krishna, the enemy of Kamsa, is known as the seer through the Shastras. In order to establish his authority, however, he is now engaged in seeing the gopis, whereby the gopis are becoming maddened. Thank you. So the next quality is pure. So we're all supposed to develop these qualities. We already have these qualities, they're just covered over. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7. And this is the section entitled Still Ideal Family Life. Text 34. Patram tu atra naruktam vai. Patram vatra naruktam vai. Kavibi patra vitamai. Kavibi patra vitamai. Hariya Aveka Uvasha Hariya Aveka Urvisha Yan Mayam Vai Characharam Yan Mayam Vai Characharam Patram Patra Naruktam Vai Revika Abhishka Yadmaya Patram Patranamai Habibi Patravitamai Revika Yadmayam Vaicharachara Patram Patranaruktam Vai Habibi Vitramuttamai Hare Veka Uvisha Yanmayam Vaichara Chara Patram Patranaruktam Vai Kavibi Patravitamai Hare Veka Uvisha Yanmayam Vajrachanam Patram, the true person to whom charity should be given. But Atra, in the world, Naroktam, decided, Vai, indeed, Kavibi, by learned scholars, Patravitamai, who are expert in finding the actual person to whom charity must be given. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eva, indeed. Ekaha, only one. Urvi Isha, O King of the earth. Yatmayam, in whom everything is resting. Vai, from whom everything is coming. Chara acharam, all that is moving or non-moving within this universe. O King of the earth, it has been decided by expert learned scholars that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in whom all that is moving or non-moving within the universe is resting, and from everything is coming, is the best person to whom everything must be given. Responsibly, please. O King of the earth, it has been decided by expert learned scholars that only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in whom all that is moving or non-moving within this universe is resting, and from whom everything is coming, is the best person to whom everything is to be given. Whenever we perform symbolist actions in terms of dharma, artha, karma, and moksha, we must perform it according to the time of Now Muni has already described the Desha person. Kala has been described in verse 20 before and the places of ceremonies have been described in verses 30 through 33, beginning with Saramsi, Saradini, Now, the decided in this verse, Hare Eveka Vivesha Yanmayam Vai Charancharam. The Supreme Personality of God, Krishna, is the root of everything, and therefore he is the best patra, or person, to whom everything must be given. In Bhagavad Gita 5.29, it is said, Bhuktaram Yagata Pesham Savalokya Maheshwaram Sahudadam Savabhutanam Shkyaphamam Shantam Richati. If one wants to enjoy real peace and prosperity, he should give everything to Krishna, who is the real enjoyer, real friend and real proprietor. It is therefore said, Yatataro Mula Nishchana Nena Tripyanti Tatskanda Bhujo Pashaka Prano Harachakchayatendriyanam Tateva Savahanam Achuteja. That's Bhagavatam 4:31-14. By worshipping or satisfying Achyuta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, one can satisfy everyone, just as one can water the branches, leaves, and flowers of a tree simply by watering its root, or as one satisfies all the senses of the body by giving food to the stomach. Therefore, a devotee simply offers everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead to receive the best results of charity, religious performances, sense gratification, and even liberation. Dharma, artha, karma, moksha. Om Jnanatimiranda Shagananyana Shalakaya Chaksharunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhastam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dati Swabadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Nanda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So, Arthur. So there's some Arthur there as well, economic development. Dharma. Attra Basta Shivdam Tapatra and Mulam Srimad Bhagavatam Kritika Kimbapra Ishvara Rajate Suyuti Satcharam. Cheating religious activities. So it's considered cheating unless it comes to the conclusion that there is a source to everything, and that by satisfying the source, like the root of a tree, all the parts of the tree will be satisfied. And if one neglects that and says, well, I'll just water the branches and the flowers and the fruits, then the tree will actually dry up. So in a very materialistic society, it seems counterintuitive that all the things that we're working so hard for, that we give them to the Supreme Person. So therefore it doesn't happen. Instead, people hoard things. Achihara priyasasya bhajopaniya magama jana sangas chilalamdya shabdya bhakti vanashita. You know the translation? Achihara. You know what achihara is? Achihara means to collect prayasas. Do you know what prayasas is? Yeah, prayasas means unnecessary endeavor. Prayasasya. Bhajopaniya magama. Niyamagraha means following those regulations fanatically or rejecting those regulations whimsically. And then Jana Sangas means to follow. And that these things destroy Vinashati. They destroy Bhakti. So even if people do have some inclination toward some type of liberation and some type of dharma, because they're so greedy and they're endeavoring so much for things which are not necessary, then they become completely distracted from what the goal of life really is. And that is how society is set up. From when you leave school, get you in debt, get you a nice house with a big mortgage and a big car that you have to pay off every month. And then you're so distracted by having to pay everything off that you don't get time to really wonder what it's all about, why are we here, what's really going to make us satisfied, what's the goal of life. I haven't got time for that. I'm going to go out and make some money. I've got this big 5-bedroomed house. So people are diverted. Whereas if there was parks, we were in Preston the other day, and there's a reasonably nice park outside where we were staying. And so that was nice. And we were thinking, imagine all the money that's getting wasted if it was being used to erect parks and temples and have kirtans and festivals. People would be so happy and satisfied. But all that money is being wasted and diverted. So isn't it funny that the greedier people get, the less they have. And if they can become selfless, then they can actually satisfy themselves, because they don't become so blinded by material desires. Utsahan Nischat Dariyat. Utsahan. How to stay enthusiastic. What's your tip, Jainanda?
Try and do some good service during the day, really. Try and find something that's worthwhile and work at it, and when it's over, congratulate yourself for doing a good job.
And if you're being enthusiastic for chanting, how do you become enthusiastic to chant? It's interesting, it's coupled with confidence. A confident person is one that has faith, and faith is born of knowledge. So although we endeavor every day to chant nicely, the real endeavor is to hear nicely about the holy name. If we hear about the holy name and we acquire the knowledge and faith, then we'll become enthused. And if we can't be enthusiastic, what's the next best thing? Say you don't feel enthusiastic to do something. What's the next best thing? You can't be enthusiastic. If you can't be enthusiastic, at least be passionate. At least be in the mode of passion. Don't be in the mode of ignorance. If you're in the mode of ignorance, then you'll be beleaguered with sleep. So at least be in the mode of passion. And then from the mode of passion, the mode of goodness can come, which is where knowledge comes in. And with knowledge and faith, then real enthusiasm is born. We become enthused. But as long as we're struggling in the mode of ignorance, then we can't get through to the mode of goodness. You can't go from the mode of ignorance to the mode of goodness. You have to go through the mode of passion, which means intensity, endeavor, over a consistent period of time. And then we break through into the mode of goodness, and then we become actually enthused, because we have this knowledge now. This is the right thing to do. And we have faith, it's the right thing to do. So with that faith and that knowledge, then we propel ourselves into very enthusiastic devotional service. So at least we're doing things out of duty. We're chanting out of courtesy japa. We said we'd do it, so we're doing it. But whether we really want to do it, if we had the chance not to do it, would we do it? That's the question. That is the question. So Srila Prabhupada quotes the famous peace formula. If you really want to be peaceful, then put Krishna in the center. Don't compete with him. Don't ignore him. If you ignore Krishna, that's the mode of ignorance. If you're competing with him, it's the mode of passion. If you're serving him, that's the mode of goodness. And by worshipping Achyuta, then the one who's unconquerable becomes conquered. Everything becomes satisfied. It's funny, isn't it? The government political manifesto is always telling the public how they're going to get more money. And the fact of the matter is, we have more money now than we've ever had. You know, if you go back 100 years, you'd be lucky if one or two families in the town had a horse and cart. Now everyone's got a car, but everyone's more miserable. So the solution is not more money. The solution is a God-centered life, and everything revolving around satisfying him. So it's very quickly deteriorated in the last 100 years. 100 years ago, most people believed in God. And these days, it's all kinds of weird and wonderful things. You can even be a Jedi now. It's an authorized religion. If 20,000 people believe in something in America, then it becomes a religion. So because people have been watching Star Wars, then you can be a Jedi. So then any nonsense goes. You can be a Trekker, Star Trek. You can believe that behind everything is the Force. There isn't a God, there's a Force. It's the Force. So in one sense, I suppose it is right. It's the Brahman Force, spiritual force. Any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Leela Manjari added to what you were saying on enthusiasm on Facebook. She's writing, just keep doing it and the enthusiasm will return.
Who was saying that?
Leela Manjari.
Leela Manjari, yeah. That's it, yeah. As they say, fake it until you make it. I said that to Shiva Ramos, and he didn't like that because he thought it's not really fake if you're trying hard to do something because you know it's right and you don't feel like doing it, then yeah, in due course you will. So if we just hang around and say, well, I'll be enthusiastic when I feel like, I'll stay awake when I feel like, and you maybe wait for quite a while. When you feel like is very reactive. Proactive is, I'm doing this whether I feel like it or not. Reactive is, I do this because I feel like doing it. But it is a fact that if you're proactive and you do something when you don't feel like doing it, after a while you will feel like doing it. But that takes faith. And faith can only be born of knowledge. So it's very important that we hear, we read and we hear. Don't assume that you know everything. Assume that you don't know anything. That's a symptom of a person in knowledge, that he feels he doesn't know anything. And so therefore it's very important to hear the philosophy, to hear what our duties are, to hear how to chant Hare Krishna properly. We're just studying now Harinam Chintamani, and Haridas Thakur is saying, you cannot take up the holy name until you have unflinching faith. So if you don't have that, then you're not even at the stage yet where you're actually chanting. You're trying to get to that stage of first initiation is given to encourage, but second initiation is confirmation. Prabhupada said that's actually the real initiation. The second, that's when you become a sadhaka. Krishna when you receive actual diksha, second initiation, and you're engaged in worshipping the deity, then you're worthy of being paid dandavats to. Because that's the stage where you've gone past whether you feel like doing something or not. You're going to do this. Come hell or high water. Doesn't matter how I feel, this is going to have to get done, And then the right feelings will come. Feelings are born of needs. We have certain needs and they create feelings. So you may have needs which are not good actually. You may think you need things and that creates certain feelings. I need attention. I need recognition. I need position. I need facility. Then this creates certain feelings. And when I don't get this, that creates other feelings. And this is all a distraction from selfless devotional service and showing respect to everybody and expecting no respect for ourselves. Kirtaniya Sadahari. First stage, Chetadapanamajanam Bhava Mahadavagnapanam Shri Kaleva Chandrika Vitaranam Vidivada Jivanam Badivadanam Padivanam Ritzvadanam Savatmasnapanam Parambajachi Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. First stage of chanting, Hari Bol, Jai, Krishna's God. Wow, fantastic. I'm going back to God at Hari Bol. Second, Nam Namak Hari Bahunini Shava Shaktis. I'm not experiencing any taste from chanting, therefore I must be making offenses. So at that stage, devotees do have the choice to discontinue the process. I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I thought it was going to be Param Vijayate, but now it seems it's a bit tougher than I thought it was. So at that stage, you can discontinue, you can blame others rather than taking full responsibility for the reason why you have not got taste is not because that person didn't smile at you and there's a hole in your shoe and you've got a leaky drain pipe. The reason you are not happy is because you are not happy. That's why. Because you've chosen not to be happy. So that's then if you're proactive, then you take full responsibility. Okay, so you say, yeah, I'm not getting a taste. Then Trinada Pisa Nichana Tarora Pisa Hishna Amani Nama. I'm actually a rascal. I am the most unqualified. I'm the most unworthy. I don't even belong really in the association of devotees. I'm so wretched. I'm so proud. I'm so offensive. Therefore, let me serve. Then Trinada Pisa Nichana. Then Nishta, we can become attached to the holy name, to the process of sadhana bhakti. We can serve properly, feeling unworthy and feeling everybody else deserves respect and I deserve none. So that's a challenge to get from Chetadavana Manjanam to Trinadapi Sanichena. Could take years, could take lifetimes. Then once you get to the Trinadapi, then all the desires start going away. You start performing this amazing devotional service. You're so humble, you don't make any offenses. And then Nadanam Najanam Nasandaram Kavitam Ba Jagadish Kame Mam Jamani. Then you start to experience, wow, you're becoming fixed, all the desires are going away. And then Ainanda Tanushkanam, please pick me up. Then a Sakti starts to come in. You become attached. Krishna, just get me out of here. I don't belong here. I don't want a car, I don't want a house, I don't want a family, I don't want anything. Just get me out. Krishna, Ainanda Tanushkanam. Somehow, I don't know how. I don't know whether I fell from the Brahman or whether I was in Vaikuntha or whether I was in Goloka. I don't know. Somehow or other, I'm here. Get me out. We can talk about that later. Just get me out right now. Imagine somebody's drowning and you're about to help them and then you say, by the way, how did you find yourself in this situation in the first place? Well, I was on a boat. I was on a boat and you're just like, get me out. Okay, now you're on safe ground. What happened? Well, I was thinking this, and then that came up, and before I know it, here I was in the material world. Somehow or other, and then separation starts to come in. Nainam Gladasra. Yugaitam Nimishena. A moment seems like 12 years. Asla Shaba Padavadam. Then you can do anything you want with me. You're always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So that takes time to get through those. The Shikshashtakam is all about chanting. Lord Chaitanya just gave instructions about how to chant. Chant humbly, chant in separation, long to be reunited with Krishna. Chant like that. So that's very proactive. It's a very proactive set of instructions that Lord Chaitanya has given. He doesn't say anywhere in the instructions, and when you feel like it, be humble. And if you really feel like it and you're okay about this, then be enthusiastic. It just pushes all that aside. Just go for it. And the funny thing about enthusiasm is, if you don't feel enthusiastic to be enthusiastic, so you're going to wait, and then one day you do feel enthusiastic about being enthusiastic, so you're enthusiastic, then you've wasted all that time when you could have just decided, I don't feel enthusiastic, but I'm going to be really enthusiastic anyway. And then after a while, then you do feel enthusiastic, because that's your natural state, is to be enthusiastic. And it's only when you're covered by the mode of ignorance that you become unenthusiastic. They say actually there's only two modes. There's only the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion. Because pure goodness is Vasuddha-sattva. Vasuddha-sattva is what's there in the spiritual world. And then if it's just a tinge of ignorance and passion, then it's mode of goodness in the material world. Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna. There's a amazing morning conversation, morning walk of Prabhupada. He's in the park with his disciples and all. And he mentions that, look, these beautiful parks, benches and all, but no one is making use of it. Where are people? They are just... And look, as devotees, we are making use of the facilities, the park and all, and we are having a good time here by Krishna's blessings. And they are working so hard. We stop anyone? No time, no time. And what they eat is a sandwich at the end of the day, just for a sandwich and this.
Yeah, and then one of the devotees said, Prabhupada, is it? They were in this really nice park, and he said, Prabhupada, is it as beautiful as this in the kingdom of God? And Prabhupada looked at him and said, this is the kingdom of God. So wherever Prabhupada was like Vrindavan anyway.
So like we see, especially in Western Europe, there's lots of material comforts, say, and compared to Asia, Africa, and quite less. So is it people in 100 years ago, 200 years ago must have done good dharma and religious activities and all, so that now they are, is it benefiting of their dharma which they would have done 100 years ago, that there is so much of material comforts and sense gratification in the Western world?
It could be. If that is the case, then it would mean the future is very bleak, because there's not a lot going on now. So wherever the facility is, there will diminish very quickly. And so that's what we're starting to see. Everything's really breaking down very quickly, because there's no God consciousness. In Aberdeen, I don't think I've come across a church that's being used as a church. They're all pubs and bingo halls and steakhouses. So many things, you know. So that's not auspicious. 100 years ago, everybody was turning up in those buildings and praying and at least doing some kind of appreciation and glorification of God. And then because of that, they've got some security. So that's coming now. But you see how good karma, born of materialistic religion, doesn't lead to higher consciousness. It degrades very quickly. What do you think would happen, Jayananda, if they gave everybody £1 million in the UK? If you gave everybody £1 million in the UK, what do you think would happen? So, yeah. So what would happen is, because the majority of people are Shudras, like if you gave £1 million to the Vaishyas and came back next year, they'd all have £2 million. If you gave £1 million to a Brahmin, he would make nice parks and create facility for prasadam distribution and book distribution. If you give £1 million to a Shudra, he'll spend it on intoxication and sex life. So the majority, unfortunately, are Shudra in Kali Yuga. Even the ones that aren't Shudra are very heavily affected by bad habit and bad culture. So it's really, really covered over. So this Sukriti, they get some material facility, but then they abuse it. They don't use it properly. Okay, we're going to put you into a situation where you'll have a roof over your head, there'll be food on the table, won't be very nutritious food, but there'll be food on the table, there'll be clothes for you to wear, and there'll be a certain amount of income at your disposal for you to spend on things. And then look what happens. People, they go down to the pound shop and they buy a load of junk. You look at what you buy in the pound shop a week later, and it's all falling apart. So people have sacrificed quality for quantity. Rather than have a little something of value, let's have a load of stuff which is garbage, because at least it seems like we've got a lot of stuff then, you know. So the materialistic Sukriti just leads to more difficulty for the living entities. So what's needed is not more material facility, but more facility for cultivating spiritual consciousness, having books available. Somebody just put on the they've got a place in Rome. Sukanti Radha was just there, and it's a place where the people from the public can come in and they can read books, and it's like a whole library. You know what I'm saying? So imagine if we had them on every block, a little house, and it's just full of Srila Prabhupada's books, and people can go and sit down and read there, you know, have a cup of decaf and read Prabhupada's books. We've got a long way to go right now. And before we can make anybody else Krishna conscious, we have to make ourselves Krishna conscious. Then once we're Krishna conscious, everyone we touch will ignite with Krishna consciousness also. Any other questions or comments?
How to have this motivation, Prabhu, to chant enthusiastically, not listening to any thoughts of the mind and all. And
Well, I'm sure everyone has, to some degree, got that motivation that they want to chant enthusiastically and chant really good rounds. The problem is just having that motivation to want to do it is not enough. You've got to then find out, how am I going to do it? How am I going to chant briskly and in a focused way and with some emotion? Not that I'm just doing this mindless ritual and I'm walking up and down, and first chance I get, I'm zoned right out. And I'm just struggling so much with the modes of nature that I never really break through, you know. So you may start off with your japa with all the best intention in the world, and then within 20 minutes you're just... And once you get into a habit of bad japa, then that could be you for the rest of your life, you know. It should be reform all the time, thinking, this is not good, I need to change this. I need to look at my lifestyle, I need to look at the way I'm doing this, you know. And all the time, japa reform should be going on. But if we just settle down into a hackneyed, humdrum, habitual way of chanting the holy name, which is actually Nama Parad, then it's just a question of how long it takes before you lose faith. How long can you keep faith in something that's not working for you? You know, you keep being told that when you put this wand on your head, it'll make you feel really blissful, and you'll be so happy, and you won't be afraid of dying. So you take the wand and you bang your head. Oh, it doesn't seem to be working. How long can you do that? How many years can you do that before you think, look, this is a con, you know, the wand, this one thing doesn't work. He says it's worked, but he's just pretending. I've been doing it for years. Nothing's happened to me. Hare Krishna. So we can have the motivation, but then you have to look at that. Okay, well, because who wants to be unenthusiastic? Everybody wants to be enthusiastic. Everybody wants to be inspired. Everybody wants to be fired up. So how am I going to get from where I am, where I'm not enthused, to the point where I am? And if at any point I am enthused, do I log that? Do I keep a journal so that I can implement it? And if I can do it for 28 days in a row, then it means that'll become a habit. Whatever you do for 28 days becomes a habit. So if you can chant good japa for 28 days, you'll be chanting good japa for the rest of your life, you know. So you've got the motivation. You think being enthusiastic is a good thing. You really do like the idea. You feel if you were doing that, you'd feel good in yourself. You'd feel like you're making some progress. You're really on board with it. Okay, that's the Sambandha. Great. We've got it all together in the box here, the Sambandha. The Abhidheya is we've got to take it out the box and we've got to assemble it. Okay, well, that needs to go there. Need to get up at this time. Need to chant with this emotion. Need to have this knowledge about the holy name. Need to study Harinam Chintamani. Need to associate with these devotees. Need to maybe do some book distribution and some preaching. So then you get all the bits together. That's Abhidheya. And then when the vehicle starts to move, then you can look at Prayojana. Then you can start to taste the glimpses of the Sajja. Shuddhanam. I'm chanting the names, focused, absorbed, and I'm feeling affection for Krishna. And all day I can't help but think of him. My mind keeps wandering onto this beautiful blue cowherd boy. That's you starting to get a glimpse, like light at the end of the tunnel, you know. Suddenly when you see the light, they say in deep space, you can see a candle 12 miles away. Because there's no light, there's nothing, it's just complete darkness. So even if someone lights a candle 12 miles away, once you get that light from the end of the tunnel, wow, there's the candle, and you just got to try and get closer to it. So if you're chanting and it's just like being in a dark, dark cave and there's no glimpse of the light, then you don't even know if you're going in the right direction. You're just wandering around in the darkness. And you don't really feel like you're making any progress. Once you start to do it properly, it's like archery. Once you hit the bullseye, you don't move anything. You just keep it there, You get the next arrow, you do exactly the same thing. And if you hit the bullseye twice, then you know you've got it. Then you know you just got to keep doing that same thing. So chanting is like that. Hare Krishna. And it actually goes in, you actually hear it. Wow, that's a transcendental sound vibration. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare, Hare, Hare Ram. And then you just have to repeat it. If you can do it for 12 seconds, you achieve dharana. If you can do it for 144 seconds, dhyana. And if you can do it for 28 minutes, samadhi. I read that. I don't know which scripture that's from, but it's somewhere in the Vedic scripture. So according to your focus determines your level of absorption. So we're at least trying to focus for 12 seconds. We've at least got to get 4 mantras, one after the other. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, 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 Hare. 1. Hare Krishna, nothing else. Just the sound vibration. Nothing else. 2, 3, 4. Okay, now you've reached a certain level of concentration and meditation. Can I take it up to the next level? Can I multiply that by 12 and go into the next level of absorption? 144 seconds, quarter of a round. Can you chant a quarter of a round without thinking of anything else? And then can you chant 4 rounds without any other thought coming in? Just you, Krishna, the sound vibration of his holy name. And then samadhi, you disconnect from the world of distractions around you, and you become absorbed in the holy name. You don't do any yogic gymnastics or any other distractions. You just become absorbed.
We got in samadhi state. How long will that be like?
It would depend. It may just be for a second, because like when Srila Prabhupada went into samadhi, and he was in front of everybody, then he suddenly realized, and he came back out, you know. Otherwise, you could be in there for days. We read in the scriptures, there was one devotee, he was trying to find the nose ring for Srimati Radharani. And then another devotee, he went into the same samadhi, and he found him, and he helped him find it, and then he came back out. I think he was out for a few days, you know. Would you like to do that, Jayananda? Go into samadhi for 3 days? Be nice. You'd be in the spiritual world with Krishna, looking for Srimati Radharani's nose ring, maybe. Any other questions or comments?
She says, I have a house full of Prabhupada's books. My door is open and I have decaf.
Oh, great. So you just need to go out then and do a little Harinam and direct people in. That'll be a beacon of hope in Aberdeen. Or bring some friends around, some people that you know. Invite them to experience the bliss of Krishna consciousness. And just by having the books, they resonate a vibration which purifies the whole area, you know. That's why Srila Prabhupada was so keen to see sets of books going up. Because every time you have a set of books somewhere, it's like a holy place. It becomes like a dham, you know. And the more you have, then you have all these circles of spirituality, spiritual energy. And if they're all close to each other, then the whole area is spiritualized. Jai. Yet in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, the first one is proactive, be proactive. And the first thing a proactive person has to do is be happy. If you can't be happy, you haven't even got off the ground. You're just like stuck in the modes, you know. So to be happy is a conscious choice. It's not a question of a culmination of your feelings. You can be happy despite whatever's going on around you. Like Franklin, was in a concentration camp, and he survived, he says, because he kept happy. He kept thinking of the future. He was going to be out one day, and he'd be telling lots of his students how he did it, you know. And that's what happened. But he noticed that his friends in the concentration camp, the ones that got down, they're the ones that died. So once you become discouraged, then the bright side, it says, nobody achieved anything of any value by being discouraged. It's of no use. It's just totally useless. You can't justify it. Well, I've got such a good reason for being discouraged. Okay, great. So what? What benefit's that gonna bring you? Well, at least I know that I'm discouraged and I've got a good reason for it. Okay, great. Does that make your life any happier? No, I'm really miserable, but at least I've got a valid excuse for being miserable. Well, you'll have to try and find a way around that then, because proactive people are happy, and they push forward, override their principles, despite the environment that they're in. They're not affected by that. That's being transcendental. It's the first start of being transcendental. And it says it's actually an austerity of the mind to be satisfied. So, to be satisfied, you'd think, well, surely being satisfied isn't an austerity, because, you know, you're satisfied, you're happy. But to be satisfied, you have to be able to neglect the mind. So that's an austerity. Disregard what the mind is saying, you know. And they say that even if you're, some people get severely damaged and their whole body becomes paralyzed, and for 6 months they're totally depressed, and then suddenly they just click back into how they used to be happy anyway before. They go back to what they were normally like, and they forget. Similarly, even if you win, you know, millions and hundreds of millions, you're deliriously happy for a little while, but after a while you just kind of click back in again to what you normally are like, you know, whatever your karma is. Jai. Okay, I'll finish there. ISKCON Govinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanandi, Haribol.
His Grace Adhoksaja Krishna Prabhu ki.
And I hope Lila Manjari Maji is feeling better.